So today I'm joined by Patrick Osborne from HPE. Patrick, thank you very much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Obviously now we have all been talking about this pandemic for weeks. You have a pretty big job at HPE. I'd just like to start off with a pretty obvious question. Apart from everything, what's changed and how are you dealing with it?
Yeah, so a lot of things have changed. I think a couple of things for me within the construct of the professional world is I miss the folks on my team. We have a great team and they're just fantastic to work with. So we're doing everything we can to stay in touch. I think a couple of things that have changed are there's a huge appetite for people up-leveling their skills right now. So I think people are taking the time to understand what they can do from a learning perspective, what they can do to sort of get themselves ready for when business turns back to normal. I think one of the challenges too is that in managing and leading a very large organization, we only have so many hours in the day to be able to connect with folks, right? Via Zoom, via conference. So how do you decentralize what we're doing here so you can push out as much autonomy and decision making and make sure that everything that's going on with our innovation process is hitting on all cylinders as possible. So there's some definitely challenges, and on the personal side, as a lot of you guys know, I have 4 kids in elementary school, so the homeschooling has been a bit of a challenge. But my kids are in Boston public school systems. They've done a pretty good job to do all of their learning online. So it's been a good experience so far.
You almost talked about some upsides there in terms of people, improving their learning. Perhaps the distributed management control is something that you'll take forward afterwards. So is that something you see that will actually, I'm not suggesting that there aren't some real challenges right now, but there might well be some positives that we can take forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the last 4 or 5 weeks, we've tried to do a couple things, right? Is, respond to customers who are in need. There's a lot of shock buying, people shoring up a supply chain for essential industries. And so how can we respond to that immediately? But then the second thing is now I'm starting to see folks put their mind 6-9 months from now on what that's going to look like and how customers can complete their buyer's journey completely online. How do we essentially get the best and most frictionless product experience, not only from a consumption perspective, but how do I use the product if I can't go into data center? So I think there's a lot of things that people are starting to think about right now as to how to prepare ourselves for, what's going to look like for 6 to 9 months from now.
Okay, well, let's make this the last question. You talked about 6 to 9 months, and I agree. It seems that we've got to get to a vaccine potentially. We're going to go through stages of recovery and coming out of this. But to what extent do we? And I don't want to just say about what's the new normal, but again, you've mentioned a number of things that are being changed and improved as we've gone through this. So it sounds like you're optimistic on overall, saying that we'll keep the good of what we used to have and bring that back, and maybe we've added something to it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always or try to be a glasses half full, or these days it's a martini is half full kind of guy. But yeah, I think that's going to definitely be a hybrid of how, what can we take that we've been doing that's, current course and speed, but there's got to be, a number of changes here, not only from the way we deal with working from home. I think people have gotten a taste of that, right? And then how can we, do best to serve our customers? I think this is going to definitely take all of these interesting projects around digital transformation and just accelerate them by 2 orders of magnitude. So how can we be there for our customers? And obviously being in storage and data management, that's a huge opportunity for us to help our customers.
Yeah, I'll be talking separately as well to the actual program that HPE came out with financially, because obviously that was a big chunk of change. But I've enjoyed the conversation. If nothing else, I think what you're describing is that there can be some silver linings despite all the grey clouds, and that genuinely, I get the impression what you're saying is that we are, to use a phrase, all in this together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, humans are great at breaking things, but they're even better at fixing them. So I think we're going to come out, pretty good on the other side.
Patrick, thank you very much for your time. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks, man.